Yesterday, we actually got some reports that Apple could be theorizing a 2019 refresh of the iPod Touch. Yes, you heard me correctly, they're considering updating the device, which is definitely an outlier, someone who stands out in the Apple lineup. For one, it is the only pocket iOS device that still has the headphone jack. For two, it is the one iOS device on their store that doesn't have biometrics. Face ID, Touch ID, neither. It's not there. But before we get into all of the craziness of that refresh, earlier this afternoon, Apple did something they've never done before, and I'm here to tell you about it now. So originally today, I just wanted to talk about the potential of an iPod Touch refresh and how bizarre that is, but this morning, Apple has officially dropped what we had talked about previously, the triple lineup of iPhone smart battery cases. This is something Apple's never done before because, for one, we've had smart battery cases in the past, but it's always been for the iPhone with the weaker battery. It originally was launched with the iPhone 6S, which the battery case I hold very true to my heart because defending that battery case, and despite everyone hating it and saying it looked pregnant and the battery cases looked ugly, I went online and defended that battery case, and that was one of the first videos ever in my life that actually started picking up traction, and that's where a lot of Talos of Tech subscribers originally came from, was that video. But I, for one, was very upset about it because I have always been the guy to choose the bigger iPhone. I want the Plus model, or now called the Max model, but every single year they would not release a battery case for the larger option. So originally it was launched with the iPhone 6S. You could get it because I think it was Apple acknowledging that the 6S was not a great battery life, so they were like, here, you can buy this and this will double your battery. But if you had an iPhone 6 Plus, Apple was like, you're fine, you don't need one, which I was kind of annoyed by because I was like, I would like the option to have a battery case, but it didn't happen. Then the iPhone 7 came out and they released the iPhone 7 smart battery case, which once again was only available for the smaller iPhone 7, not for the iPhone 7 Plus. And because I like the dual camera, I like the portrait mode, I wanted to have an even bigger battery if I choose to slap on that case that day, but they didn't make one. They didn't make any during the iPhone 8 to iPhone 10 era, but then today, January 15th, Apple decides to launch not one, not two, but 3 smart battery cases for all of the new sized iPhones in 2018. And in the even more bizarre thing, all 3 sizes are the same price. Whether you get one for an iPhone 10s, 10s Max, or 10R, you're paying a flat rate of $130 here in the US. Obviously, prices are going to be higher in other parts of the world. They also only come in 2 colors, which is kind of interesting, given I thought Apple's reasoning for finally launching a clear case with the iPhone 10R was because they knew people wanted to show off their new colors when they got an iPhone 10R. They wanted to showcase that they got the product red or the blue or the yellow. But with the smart battery cases, they were good with just white and black. And to answer some of you already asking, yes, all of the new smart battery cases support Qi charging, which means that just by using the battery case, you are not therefore limited to only charging your phone via Lightning port. The battery cases you can still drop on Qi supported chargers and they will charge up. They also still have a Lightning port, which on the website they say this charge case can support even faster forms of wired charging. So if you wanted to charge your battery case faster than your iPhone could, I guess you have that option now. I also know that the design of these new battery cases are a little bit controversial because some people don't like that the bulge of the battery goes all the way to the bottom. They think that looks uglier. In my opinion, it looks more clean because you're just designing one slant on the back of your iPhone, not 2 like before, where it just looked like your iPhone battery was bulging out the back. It comes down to personal preference, which one you think was designed better, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to remember battery cases are not designed for fashion. They are primarily designed for practicality because you want more battery on the go. And for me, I love using my iPhone XS Max caseless, but I would also love the option if I'm going on a trip or if I know I'm going to be away from a charger for a while, pack that battery case with me so that if at some point in the day I end up using my phone more than I thought I would, and it turns out, oh crap, my battery's getting low, 20%, 10%, then I can just pull out that battery case, slide my phone into it, and boom, have another 100% battery to go through as the battery case will charge my phone. And at the same time, these battery cases allow you to charge wirelessly at the same time. So they're definitely a bit pricey, but compared to competitors like Mophie releasing wireless charger packs for their iPhones, it's really not that much more expensive. It's like $30 more than what most people would pay, but you are getting the advantage of that smartness, the fact that there's no button on the battery case that you have to press in order to activate the battery. It just communicates with iOS iOS and the way your phone already works and says, okay, charge this phone right now, charge the case right now, and it can even charge the phone and the case simultaneously when on a Qi charger or when you're using a cable. So there's a ton of advantages when using the battery case over a third-party case. So a ton of you probably hate it, a ton of you likely love it, but my answer was yes, so I have one ordered, and I'll probably be unboxing it on Friday when it gets here. Got it for the XS Max in black, primarily because I wanted the front to match my bezels all the way around, and I'm excited to test it out and see how seamless that experience works. Thank you, Apple, for finally giving us battery cases for all the different size options. By the way, if you get a battery case for your XR, that is going to be an insanely long battery life, like 39 hours of talk time. Dang. Anywho, moving on to the iPod Touch. You guys know my opinion on it, as it actually turned out to be one of our most popular videos, in fact, the most popular video of 2018. Everyone was shocked that I said, why does the iPod Touch exist? And I'm still confused as to why Apple is still selling it, which is why I get even more confused when people tell me that Apple's considering refreshing it. Such a confusing addition to the iPhone line right now, and the reason the iPod Touch died is because iPhones got too good for it. Even to the people out there that are saying, well, it's really good for parents who want to buy gifts for their kids. You know, they don't want to give them a SIM card or a phone number, but they want to give them something small that can play some games, listen to some music. But the thing is, you can buy refurbished or even brand new older iPhones that will do everything the iPod Touch does and more for less than the price of an iPod Touch. Right now, this may seem crazy, but you can still buy an iPod Touch for $200 starting price. Remember, this is a device without biometrics. It does run iOS 12, but it is running the A8 chip. The same CPU Apple uses in the HomePod is powering all of iOS on the iPod Touch, and they still charge $200 for it. They also still come in 2 storage configurations, but if Apple is going to be upgrading the iPod Touch, I have to ask myself, what are they gonna do with it? So the A9 chip is no longer in production, so if they were to upgrade the CPU just one generation, that would be a lot of work just to bring back a product line that's pretty much dead already. But one CPU that Apple is still constructing, primarily for iPhone 7s, is the A10 chip. So if the iPod Touch refresh ends up being real, I guess it's most likely that they would put an A10 chip in the new iPod Touch, and I think that would simply be to justify the higher price. It would not mean that the refreshed iPod Touch would get a lower price point, because with an A10 chip, no. I mean, that thing might start at $300 at that point. The cameras on it are very, very dated, and the fact that there's no biometric makes me very confused as to what Apple could potentially do with it this year. Maybe add Touch ID. You know, we've got budget iPads coming in a couple months, so we know that Apple in 2019 is not all in on Face ID. They just put Touch ID on the new MacBook Air. They're gonna put Touch ID on the new budget iPads coming out in a couple months, so maybe they're just like, to the kids and to the parents out there that want to buy gifts that are sub $300 but not too crazy of a product. Perhaps the iPod Touch refresh could resurge a new audience, people who don't want SIM cards and phones. But again, just go on Amazon, kids, or parents, whoever I'm talking to. Go on Amazon, look up iPhone SE refreshed. That thing has a 4K camera and no camera bump, by the way. One of the few iPhones that ever did that. It has biometrics, it has Touch ID, it has a much better display, probably better speakers. It's a much better product, and it'll be under $200. Or if that's too much for you, go look up unlocked iPhone 5S. There won't be a SIM card, you won't need a phone plan with it or anything, but it does everything the iPod Touch does and more. You can find them for like $125. That's with like a simple Amazon search. I'm sure you budgeters out there know how to find these deals on eBay or on Swappa, and you can find them for like $75. Or parents, how about just when you're done using your old iPhone, just give it to your kid instead and take the SIM card out. That can be their birthday present. You don't have to spend $200 on an iPod Touch, particularly in 2019. So in regards to what they could do with a 2019 refresh, I assume I should probably talk briefly about, Drew, what would you want to see? Okay, let me tell you. I don't think this thing should be all out. I know there's people out there that are like, this thing's gonna have a A12 chip, bionic CPU, and this is gonna have Face ID and a notch and no home button gesture controls. I'm not about that. If they refresh the iPod Touch, it would intentionally not be anything close to what Apple's iPhones are. So I would say, first things first, eliminate the white bezels, okay? Just black bezels on everything. Release it in all the same colors that the XR are available in. This is an iffy one, but wireless charging, I guess. Qi chargers are not necessarily an expensive technology, and if you're pumped to have this new audience of children excited to buy new iOS products because they're cheaper, I guess put a glass back on the iPod Touch. I'm still sticking with Touch ID because I don't think this thing needs Face ID or anything fancy like that. A10 chip, like I said, so this thing would be equivalent in specs to the iPhone 7. Design-wise, I don't think you need to change much. If anything, the iPod Touch is a little too thin. I remember holding it last year. That thing was so incredibly incredibly thin, but I feel like people are gonna get upset about it bending or touch disease, so I would say make it a little bit thicker and remove the camera bump, because the latest iPod Touch design does have a camera module sticking out, and iPod cameras, they are not great, they are not fancy. You don't need to go all out with an iPod camera, so just put something simple in there, like the same camera that's in the iPhone 7, just put that in there. Glass back, like I said, with the different color options, and that would be about it. I can't think of much else I would change. Oh, perhaps stereo speakers and water resistance, because you're going to be marketing this towards children, so making it slightly more durable than the current gen iPod Touch, I guess that's fine. I will say stick with Lightning. I know there are some people out there that are like USB-C on the iPod, but it's just weird at this point. These are young kids you're marketing towards. So in recap, give it the same colors the 10R has. Glass back, wireless charging support, no camera bump, all black bezels, okay, no more white bezeled iPods, a slightly better camera like the iPhone 7 single lens camera, A10 chip, and all of that I imagine they could price at around $299 or $249, something reasonably affordable that kids will be like, Mommy, buy that one. But yeah, that's I guess my wish list for a 2019 iPod Touch is to keep it budget, you know, keep it sub $300, don't go crazy, maybe ship it with 32 gigs or 128 gig option is $100 more. But overall, I don't think this should come back. I want the iPod Touch to die. I don't think it should come out. Oh crap, but there's a bunch of people out there asking, Drew, should it have a headphone jack? The real only thing I'm looking at the purpose for the iPod Touch for is making it like a mini version, a pocket version of the budget iPad that starts at $329. So given that iPad has a headphone jack, and this is marketed towards budget users who don't have that much money, I would say go ahead, keep it. You know what? It's an iPod. It's supposed to be towards music. So Apple, just to avoid the confusion and the hate, don't release a product that you label as an iPod without a headphone jack. People will get upset. So just go ahead, keep Lightning, keep the headphone jack. I don't care much about it. Would I buy that? Probably not. Will any of this actually happen? Probably not. These reports are coming from a Japanese site called Matakara. It's coming from a Japanese site that has predicted some things right in the past, but definitely not a perfect track record. So I have doubts about these leaks. But what do you guys think? What would an iPod Touch's purpose be in 2019, and what should it do? Let me know all that good stuff down in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.